Hi, everyone, and welcome back to On the DL. Renee Kamen is joining us today. Renee is living with terminal cancer and is sharing her journey with stage 4 breast cancer. Renee refers to herself as a cancer thriver and absolutely a champion. And we are going to talk about all the things that you are living with right now and really what it is that you're hoping for in the next little while. Because when I was introduced to Renee, now, truth be told, we've never met each other. This is the first time. So, hi, Renee. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
But I did go onto your Instagram account, which I will continue to refer to many times during our conversation. I was incredibly moved by your journey and your story, and I knew that I needed to speak to you. So
Thank you.
here we are. How you doing?
I'm good. I am chugging along.
Yeah. What does
Yeah.
that mean? Chugging along.
I've kind of had a lot of health challenges, even besides my cancer, the last 6 weeks. So, you know, just happy to be here every day. I'm finally, hopefully, on the up and up now. So, yeah, just putting one day, getting through each day. So,
So you're 41 now, correct? You
yes.
just turned
Yeah.
41
Yeah.
7 weeks ago, something like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Okay.
6 weeks ago. Yeah.
Okay. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Um, and I read that you said that when you were diagnosed in 2017, that you didn't think that you would see your 35th birthday. So
So I was originally diagnosed with early stage breast cancer in 2015 when
2015.
I
Okay.
was 33, just before my 34th birthday. And it was crazy. It was like a gong show of 9 months. It was, one thing after another. And I had no idea what what it would be like. No clue. The doctor said, okay, you need to do chemotherapy. Okay, I did chemotherapy. Got through chemotherapy, had a double mastectomy, got through that. Then I was told I needed 25 rounds of radiation. And that was a doozy because my original tumor was on my left side. So when they do radiation, on your left side, because of your heart, they have to pull your heart back every time they zap your chest. So I had to like wear scuba gear, and I had to like go to the hospital. It's to go get trained on how to like breathe properly, to hold my breath, to pull my heart back away from my chest wall. So it was a very intense 9 months. It was very intense 9 months.
And how old were your children at the time?
My son was a year and a half when I was diagnosed, and my daughter was 3.5 when I was originally diagnosed.
So of course they had no clue what's happening with mommy at that time.
So no, my daughter, well, they were both, considering how young my son was. So he had just turned 2 when I had my double mastectomy. He was very interested in what the tools the doctors used for the double mastectomy. So he was very like, was it a wrench? Was it a drill? What did they use? And I just kept saying, it was a special tool. It was a special tool. And that went on for quite a long time. And then my daughter, who was 4, had just turned 4 when I had my double mastectomy, was more kind of into like, because I lost my hair during chemotherapy and I was wearing a wig. So that was a lot more, she was, that I guess that was a clearer sign that I was kind of sick for her.
Did she ask questions?
She did, but we were able, through the hospital, from the hospital's lending library, to get some really wonderful resources
Mm.
on how to talk to her about it, and what books to use. And I love, as a teaching background, I love using books as tools. So that was really good to use as a tool to
So
explain what was going on.
we should tell everyone too that you are a teacher.
Yes. Yeah, I was a teacher. Also, my background's in behavioral therapy, working with kids with autism. So obviously, I'd stopped where I'd actually quit my job when I went into treatment. And then once I was done treatment, it was kind of like putting the pieces of my life back together. And then I went back into a consulting role for the school board, which
Okay.
was like my dream job. It was amazing. Um, and then it was summer 2017. At this point, I had gone back to work January 2017. I'd taken some time like to put my life back together, kind of figure out what I wanted to do. Got this amazing job, was so happy. And in the summer, my legs started to hurt just randomly. I'd go for a walk, but it always like kind of made sense. Like I wore Birkenstocks and went on a 3-hour walk. Well, that wasn't smart. So I was like, oh, well, of course my back hurts. And
Mm-hmm.
then I got a massage and then the pain went away. And then, I drove to Montreal and we ended up getting stuck in a massive rainstorm on the highway. So it took much longer. So I was sitting for so long. So that made sense. Obviously my back's going to hurt. And then I went for my 2-year checkup with my oncologist in September. And I said, I feel great. I feel amazing. But, I kind of got these like weird pains in my legs. And then the doctor said, it doesn't sound like anything, but we should do our due diligence and send you for a bone scan. And that's when the results came back. And I was like completely blindsided to find out that my cancer had spread.
And where did it spread to at that point?
So at that point, it had spread to my femur on my left side. There were a few spots in my pelvis, and yeah, my femur was like the main spot, and a few spots in my pelvis at that point. Um, so that was it was a huge shock
That was in
because I felt
2017.
that was 2017 in
And
October
sorry for
2017.
interrupting. How did you feel when you heard that?
I thought I was going to die the next day. I was completely blindsided because everything I had known about metastatic breast cancer and if it comes back and if it spreads is you're in pain and the pain gets worse and the pain doesn't go away. So I was always thinking like, oh, this is no big deal. Like I'm going to go for a bone scan and maybe they're going to tell me I have arthritis, which is common, or osteoporosis, which is common again because I was put into early menopause. So, those things kind of just made sense. I was always told, oh, the pain gets worse, it doesn't go away. So it was really quite very shocking.
So that is why you said this last birthday, your caption was, I made it
Yeah.
to 41.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially I've had the cancer in my femur actually broke my femur last year, last February.
Wow.
So I ended up having hemiarthroplasty. So I actually now have like a rod in my femur on my left side. So it wasn't a full hip replacement, it was a partial hip replacement last year. And that was crazy. That was crazy on its own. I didn't even know if I would see 40. So yeah, every birthday is quite a milestone.
At what point, Renee, did they use the word terminal? When did you hear that word?
Um, Probably when I got my metastatic diagnosis. Um, and that's what I was told, like it's terminal, but you have lots of options at this point. Like, because at that point it was only in my bones. So my doctor said, it's like the best of the worst situation because at that point it's only in your bones. The type of cancer I have, which is hormone positive, there's many, 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 many treatments. But then as time goes on and treatments end up failing,
Mm-hmm.
the list gets shorter. So that's tough to
Okay.
deal with.
That's very hard. It's hard to even listen to as you're saying it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that feels like to hear that when you have two young children and being so young. So young.
Yeah, it's it's hard. It's really hard. Kind of at the beginning, when you're like, oh, you have so many medications, you don't really think like, okay, it's going to fail. But then, like, as they start failing, and now I'm kind of, I don't even know what line of treatment I'm on. I've been on many, many, many treatments at this point. Um, it's also really hard because I often feel good. And so then, you find out from like a scan, okay, like you feel good, but what's on the scan is not good. And
Mm.
that's very challenging to deal with because how I feel, they don't match up. So that's I find is the hardest thing to deal with because like when I found out that my cancer had spread to my liver, that was in 2019. I had just had like the best summer up north at the cottage and I was feeling amazing. And like again, was completely blindsided by just a regular scan.
And so how do you deal with that? Or you're just starting to learn to
Um,
deal with these blows from, okay, I feel good, and then you get another diagnosis.
yeah, it's hard.
Hmm.
It's really hard to find out like, it's spread or you feel good but the tumors are growing and that's really it's hard. And then you kind of have to go back to the drawing board of okay, these are the medications that are available to you. Which one would you like? And looking at these options and then, looking at okay, maybe now right before the pandemic, I was actually looking at going to the States for treatment
Mm.
because they have different things there that we don't have here.
Hmm.
Um, but then the pandemic happened. And so now that things are opening up, it's like, okay, do I want to go? Do I not? Kind of weighing those options. So it's hard. It's very challenging.
Before we talk about treatments, because I
Yeah,
think that's a very important part of your journey, I want to talk about your diagnosis journey
sure.
first before we start to get into what's been happening since, because your journey around diagnosis at the very beginning
Yeah,
is not dissimilar to other women who have had some horrific stories around being told, you're fine, go, go home, you're okay, or it's nothing, it's just a lump. Many women have lumps, you'll be
yeah,
fine, and being kind of told that there's really nothing there, nothing to worry about. And it drives me crazy that this is still going on, that we are still hearing these stories around breast cancer. It drives me insane.
yeah.
um, and part of your story is awareness, is bringing awareness to this. And you are a champion,
Thank
whether you
you.
don't want to be called it or not, but you are definitely a champion, because when we share, we are caring, right? We are sharing our lives for a reason. um, we do make a difference. And if this conversation makes a difference in one woman's life, then we've done a great job.
I agree.
So maybe you can talk to me about your diagnosis journey.
Sure. So, in 2014, when my son was 13 months, I breastfed him for a year, no problem. I stopped breastfeeding him. And then, I don't know, one day in January 2015, I noticed a lump. And I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. But, like, I've read things that, oh, you can get, like, I had mastitis and you can get blocked
Hmm,
milk ducts still for months
absolutely.
after you finish breastfeeding. So I figured, okay, I'm going to wait till after I get my period, see if it goes away. Well, it was still there. And so I kind of just kept like an eye on it. Never in a million years did I think it's cancer ever.
Hmm.
Like my brain never went there. No one has cancer in my family. So I wasn't even on my radar. And then I waited again for another period and it was still there. And I was like, this is weird. I was at work and one of the little boys ran into me, obviously not on purpose. And it like hurt where he hit me, where like the lump was. And then on my break, I remember Googling, like, does breast cancer hurt? And
Mm.
everything online says, no, 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 it doesn't hurt. So I was like, okay, it's for sure a milk duct, but my doctor's around the corner from my work. I'm going to go and call. Anyways, they said, oh, your doctor's not in tonight. And I said, you know what? I'll just see whoever's there. Not a problem. Anyways, it was a male doctor who was so beyond rude to me and was like, if you were really worried, you would miss work and you would see your own family doctor. And I was like, I'm really sorry. I just went back to work. This is when I could come, is when the day is done, and you're here. So he was so rude. And I said to him, do you think this could be breast cancer? And he said, 95% not. You're so young. So, and anyways, and this doctor,
do you just want to like, okay.
And the thing is, he was a younger, like, it wasn't like he was 80, 90 years old. Like, he was probably, I don't know, at the time, like mid 40s is my guess.
Young enough to know.
Exactly. So he sent me off and said, go get an ultrasound. Fine. I made the appointment 2 weeks later on Friday. It was a Friday at 4:00. I had the ultrasound, and I've had many ultrasounds during my life because I played sports and had sports injuries. And so I know they never talk to you. And so I'm lying on the table and the tech's doing, whatever, and then talks and says, would you like your right side done? Because the doctor had only requested my left breast. And I looked at her and I said, are you asking me if I need it done, or are you telling me I should do it? And she said, hold on, let me go talk to the radiologist, and left me in the room. And I was alone, left me in the room. And I was like, okay, this is not good, because they never talk and they never not follow what's on the order. So then she comes back, right? They never talk. And so then she comes back and says, the doctor wants to do the right side. And so the radiologist, and I was like, okay, well, this is not going well. And then she finished and said, and they want you to have a mammogram right away. They had a mammogram machine there, and I've never had a mammogram. So right away, I have a mammogram, and I don't know why in a million years, like, they had one of those huge X-ray lights, and the image like pops. It was like, I guess, a digital screen, and like the image of my left breast, like, pops up, and all you see is like a white softball size circle. And I remember like staring at it, and they have me sitting in a chair. And I said to the woman, like, can I go get changed? And she said, no, you need to sit here and wait. So they called the radiologist on the phone. And then she says, the radiologist wants to talk to you. Again, this is like Friday at 4:30 at this point, by myself. No one at any point says to me, like, would you like to call someone? Like, nothing. So then the radiologist gets on the phone and says, it's not good. We're sending, you need to get the CD of the images, and you need to go and take it down to Princess Margaret. We're referring you there immediately to the Gattuso Rapid Diagnostic Clinic. And you need to like have the images there first thing Monday morning. So honestly, I did not hear anything else this woman said. Like, it was Friday at 4:30. Like, the day's done. I'm by myself. Anyways, I was like hysterically crying. My husband came to get me. And I think I just sat on the couch crying the entire weekend in my basement, because I thought I was dying and my life was over. And then I ended up getting referred to the Rapid Diagnostic Clinic at Princess Margaret, where you get a biopsy in the morning, and then by the end of the day, you find out you are confirmed for breast cancer or you're not. It's like unbelievable technology that they have there. And I was diagnosed on Friday, March 13th, 2015 at like 4 p.m. So right. It was crazy.
And you, every Friday the 13th, you and your husband do something nice?
Yes.
For yourselves and your family?
Yeah. So after that horrible Friday the 13th, I vowed that every Friday the 13th after that, we would do something nice and celebrate life. And it's ended up working out every more or less every year. You know, it was challenging last year with my broken hip, but you know, my family came up and visited me and we spent the day together. And this year we were in New York and we were in Mexico one year, and we've really tried um, to make it a nice day and change the thinking around it.
So at this point, um, you are, how old? Remind me again, you said you were 33 at this point?
I was
Is that
33 and I turned 34 a few days after I started my first chemotherapy.
okay? So at this point, you're thinking what? Like, where are you at in your head?
Um, so really at that point, right when I was diagnosed, I was like, my life is over.
Mm.
I don't know anyone else with breast cancer. I had 3 living grandparents in their 90s at the time. And I was like, this makes no, like, you know, obviously I'm not wishing this on anyone, but like, how is it me? Like, you know, and again, very early on, I made a very big conscious decision not to go down the rabbit hole of why me. Lots of people ask, why me, why me, why me? It doesn't get you anywhere. Um, you know, you just get more upset. And I really, you know, I had 2 little kids at the time, and it was really like a huge mind shift that I needed to do, that like, you know, yes, I'm sick, but I want to get better. I want to be here for my kids. I want to be able to enjoy with them. So I really made a big conscious decision that like every day I was going to try and find like some beauty in the day, even if I felt like crap, that, you know, like maybe it was going to be my son playing guitar beside me, or me and my daughter having a dance party in the kitchen if I felt better, just like little things. And I think, you know, it was really reframing my mind going through treatment. Like, I really, when I went through those 9 months of treatment, it was just like, go, 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 go. Like, don't stop and think, just like, this is what we need to get done, and we're going to do it, and I'm going to get through it. And it was really, it's a big mind shift.
It is, because you have a decision to make. You know, it is either the
Yes.
why me, which is, I can't even use the word normal. It's just, that would be probably how everyone, you know, that's
Yeah.
the first thought. Like, what do you mean? Why is this happening to me and my family? Or you do what you do, which
Yeah.
is, I, you can only control some things in your life, but you can control how you feel and how you react. And that's where you have become this massive inspiration to people. And you know, you are a thriver. You know, you're not
Yep.
just a survivor, you are a thriver. And on your feed, you say right out there, I'm here to inspire people to live their best life.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what next week will bring, or next month, or next year,
No.
but you want people to live their best life by watching you do the same. Because you have every reason in the world, Renee, to just say, fuck this, I'm putting my head on my pillow, and you know what, I can't do this anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I'm tired. My body is tired. My brain and my heart are tired. And you
Yep.
don't do that. You never stop. I love your dance parties on Instagram.
Thank
They
you.
make me feel so happy. We should tell everyone that your daughter, who's 10, who you lovingly refer to as Princess Peach because we
Yeah.
don't name children, and your son, who is 8, little dude. Uh, I love your life with them because
Thank you.
it is authentic. It's real. You're showing your pain, you're
Yeah.
showing your angst as a mother, but you're also showing this tremendous amount of love. And happiness grows in a family, whatever the situation is. You
Yeah.
make that love grow. And you and your husband, who we are going to talk about, have done such a beautiful job together with your family.
Thank
Um,
you.
I feel as if the kids aren't, it's not as if they don't know, they know, right, that
Yeah.
mom
Yep.
has an illness,
Yep.
but it's like, okay, well, my mom has an illness and my dad goes to work, you know, my mom does this and my dad does this. That's their normal.
Yeah. You know what? It's, it makes me sad that it's their normal, because I think they're very young. You know, they'll never remember me before cancer, which makes me really sad to think about. Because they'll always remember me like taking pills and not feeling well after chemo, and it's sad, like it's very sad. um but I always try and, like, again, reframe it to think that, like, I'm raising resilient kids because of it, like, you know, or and they'll be resilient adults. Like, they might not realize it now, but I think when they're older, they're going to be able to look at things hopefully differently, and they had to grow up a lot sooner than their peers, which makes me sad.
Do you think that that is part of the purpose of this? Do you believe that everything has its reason and purpose?
No, no,
So what do you think the purpose of this is?
I don't know.
Have you been
Because,
asked that
you know,
before?
I have,
Oh,
I
okay.
have, I see, I don't know. Like, I'm the granddaughter of Holocaust survivors.
Mm,
So even like growing up, it was very much like, well, if everything happens for a reason, well, why did half my family die? Right? Like
mm,
in the Holocaust.
mm.
I,
That's
I
heavy.
definitely, yeah, I definitely
Mm,
think being the granddaughter of Holocaust survivors, and my grandmother, who was not a Holocaust survivor, but, you know, really came from a family of immigrants who'd moved here, and, you know, she couldn't go to school because she had to work. I really think my grandparents have always been very good examples of like how to persist and how to live life to the fullest, because, like, how do you lose half your family in the Holocaust, end up moving to a new country, and then immigrating to Canada, and again thriving?
yeah,
Like,
I'm
they were
raising an
able to
incredible
do it.
family.
Right, and they were
Yeah.
able to do it.
Hmm.
Obviously it's different for me, but I think, you know, when you kind of look at what they've lived through, I definitely think I get a lot of my strength from them, and what they've lived through.
Do you have siblings?
I do. I have a younger sister.
And how has she been through all this?
She's been good. She's like, you know, she has a young son and we're very close. We actually just spent the whole weekend together.
Mm.
So that's really nice. But yeah, no, we're close. And when she can help out, she does. And we have amazing friends. And my husband has siblings, and I've brother-in-laws and sister-in-laws and nieces and nephews. So we are very lucky to be supported by lots of people.
Tell me about your husband.
Um, he's great. He's a teacher.
Hmm.
Um, you know, feel bad for him too, because this is not, you know, not the life he signed up for. Especially being a caretaker to me and the kids when I don't feel good. So yeah, he's had to step up a lot, especially since last January, um, when I broke my hip. That was kind
You
of,
know, I hear particularly women who are living with an illness, and they talk about their partner, and they talk about how it's not the life that their partner would have chosen or signed up for. And then I say in sickness and in health, in richer and
yeah,
poor. And it's, you know, as women, we particularly feel so bad. We feel so bad for our male partners, our
yeah,
husbands or partners, and say we feel so bad for them. But, you know, I bet you if I spoke with your husband, it wouldn't be about that. It would be about everything else but that, than
right,
feeling,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Look, like, I
I
think
mean,
again, no, totally, but I think again, you know, we had like our plan when we were going to retire. We were going to go on,
really?
like, yeah, yeah, when we had this whole plan when we were going to retire. We love tennis.
Oh.
So we were going to start at the Australian Open in January and end in New York at the US Open in September. You know, so you, again, you have to reframe kind of thing. So A few years ago, we actually took the kids and went to New York City, and we all did the US Open together, which
Amazing.
was phenomenal. And then 3 years ago, I ended up actually going on a European vacation for 17 days and left my husband and kids and was able to go to the French Open, which was like a dream come true. And it was an unbelievable experience. So, you know, kind of, you have to again reframe, rechange, the way, like, instead of doing it later, if we can do it now, then we're going to try and do things now.
So, speaking of reframing, I want to talk about treatments because this hit me actually. I felt a little guilty and enlightened when I read this. You said that when people ask you how long this treatment's going to be,
Yeah.
um, and your answer is when you are dealing with cancer, it's not about how long your treatment is. As long as you're alive, you will be in treatments.
Yeah.
That's that also is extremely heavy. That's very heavy
Yeah.
because you don't
Yep.
see, you've been told and you know that while you are living, that you will
Yeah.
continue to keep fighting, and that means treatments and that's part of your journey. And I don't think
Yeah.
people understand that.
No, I agree with you. I think a lot of times breast cancer is seen as early stage breast cancer. And this is why I share a lot, is because metastatic breast cancer can be very scary when you're diagnosed with early stage breast cancer. It's almost like two separate cancers, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
We all fall under the umbrella of breast cancer. Just, early stage breast cancer might not turn into metastatic breast cancer, and people might be cured and might be able to live the rest of their life and be totally fine. And then there's other people like me who have metastatic breast cancer. And it's, people kind of see it as like, okay, you have breast cancer, you get the treatments, you're done, you go move on and live your life. But when you have metastatic breast cancer, well, it's all the treatments that are keeping me alive. And I go from treatment to treatment, hoping that I can stay on the treatments long enough that either a new treatment comes up or there's a new trial that I'm eligible for, or something something will work for a long time. And that's really why I share a lot of it, because it's very important for people to know, again, and going into the greater kind of subject of fundraising, is that
Yes.
a lot of the fundraising dollars for breast cancer goes to awareness. My personal opinion is we all have awareness about breast cancer.
Yeah.
The only cure for breast cancer is curing metastatic breast cancer. And that's where the least amount of funds go to, but is the greatest need.
Except for the stupid doctor that told you that it's probably
Yes.
not breast cancer. He needs some awareness and education.
Yes.
But yes, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah.
We know that there's breast cancer. We know we have to do our self breast examinations. We
Yeah.
have to continually be on top of our own bodies. They the awareness gurus out there,
Yeah.
they have done a really good job over the last 2 decades, particularly our generation,
Yeah.
right? It's just been constant. Do yourself breast exams, do
Yep.
yourself breast exams, get your regular mammograms, talk to your doctor about changes in breast health. That campaign has worked.
Yep.
Well, as you said, where the money needs to go now is into research in finding treatments and cures
Yeah.
for this kind of breast cancer. And it's not happening.
No, not as not as fast as I would personally like it to happen.
Of course.
It's really mind blowing when you actually look at where funds, and you can look it up, any organization, they're rated, you can see where the money goes. And it's crazy, because I think as a, and I know I did this in the past, I was like, oh, I'm buying these pink shoelaces because a donation is being made to breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember doing this years and years and
Of
years
course.
ago.
Yeah, of course.
How much from that sale is actually going? Like maybe 3 cents. Like,
Wow.
like it's like when you actually go and look at the numbers and everything, it's really insane. So, and there's not very many organizations where 100% of the proceeds go to finding a cure.
You know, Renee, because this is so important we're talking about this, um, because I'm guilty of this as well. You know, when you hear of a woman who has breast cancer, you're like, wow, that's horrible.
Yeah.
But in the back of your mind, you feel, okay, well, she's going to be okay. I mean, the process is shit.
Yeah.
And her life may be shit for the next year or two, maybe five. She's going to be okay. I mean, you just kind of, that's another part of the campaign is like, you know, detection, early detection will save
Yeah.
your life. And it's detected early. It's stage 2 breast cancer. It's stage 3 breast cancer. Um, but that's not the case.
No,
Not the
and
case.
that's really why I share and I like connecting with other women who have metastatic breast cancer.
Mm,
There's obviously men who get metastatic breast cancer
yes,
too, and they're a very, very small part, but they need to be acknowledged
of
as well
course.
because it happens to men.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's really crazy when you go and look out there. And when I was Googling, which like Google's awful, metastatic breast cancer, everyone dies. Everyone dies, everyone's in pain. And this is why like Instagram has been amazing because then you connect with other women who are similar situation to me. Like when I was originally diagnosed, I actually kept my diagnosis private just with my immediate family for the first year. I
Mm.
needed to wrap my head around everything. Um, and I ended up connecting with a woman through an organization that I'm connected with. And we have similar age kids. And it was just so nice to sit with someone who just gets it. Um, and it's, you know, we become good friends. She actually moved away, which was really sad. Um, but it was really, 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 really nice just to be able to go out with someone who was in the exact same situation as me. And you don't have to explain it to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's just
But
so it's so nice.
but your Instagram account, and let me just explain to people why I keep referring to Instagram. You do
Yeah.
have a huge following, and I think people are connecting with you because of your authenticity, and they want to see your journey, and they want to, even though you, when you talk about the days that you're not okay, they want to know that people want to know how you're doing. And I'm scrolling through it, and you know, I was very taken with it, but I thought to myself, this is also something that is, it's a blog for your children.
Yeah.
They will have this forever. They will be able
Yes.
to, you know, see their mom blog all the stages, good and bad, and everything that you're doing around awareness is so important around terminal cancer, because also this is another thing. What does terminal cancer look like? That was a
Thank
huge one for
you.
me. I was so happy that you put that out there. You're like, what am I supposed to look like?
Yeah.
Right?
So
What are people
that's
expecting you to look like?
yeah, and I think so. I think when people hear terminal cancer, they
Hmm.
think about the movies. And I
Hmm.
think, you know, and I've said this to people, I said, you know, I think people expect me to look like Tom Hanks in Philadelphia, even though he didn't have cancer.
Oh
I
boy.
think but I think this is what people expect you to look like. They
Yes.
expect me to be bald. They expect me
A
to be
bandana on
like
your head.
gray. Yes, they
Yeah.
expect me to be like gray skin, sunken
Mm,
in. And, you know, I think, look, some days are hard. Some days I can't get
of
out of
course.
bed. But then there's other days when it's like, I want to do something. And you know, and this is kind of how I keep myself going is like, I try and do one thing every day. So like, if it's meeting a friend for coffee, having a friend come over, you know, meeting a friend for lunch, running an errand, it gives me a purpose every day
That's
to get
nice.
out of bed and do something, sure. Can I not go and walk around the mall for hours like I could before? I can't. I have to reframe that again. Like, if I can go to a few stores, do a few things, and then I might have to come home and nap, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I think a lot of people expect me to be like on my deathbed,
I
not
know. I
doing.
don't thought that was wild. What do you think I'm supposed to look like? And
Yeah.
again, bring awareness around that. I mean, throw out some stereotypes. That's ridiculous, right? It's
Yeah.
really ridiculous. It's
And
it's and it's
also,
unfortunate.
and also for me too, like, so I ended up staying flat after my double mastectomy.
Hmm.
So I didn't do reconstruction.
Hmm.
I was given one reconstruction option, which it was a 3 to 4 month recovery period. Couldn't lift my kid. You know, it was just at the
Hmm.
time I was like, you know what? I'm going to go flat. Then I decided, okay, well, maybe I should get breast prosthesis. Well, they were so uncomfortable and so heavy
Hmm.
because we'd like sized them to my body to what, you know, I was like the size before. And after a few weeks of wearing it, I was like, why am I even wearing this? Because I'm not comfortable. Everyone else around me knows they're fake.
Hmm.
Like, who am I doing this for? And then, you know, my sister ended up getting married around that same time. And I was like, you know what? Done. Not wearing breast prosthesis to her wedding, nothing. And I haven't since. And it's like the best, most freeing thing for me that I look. Dressing is difficult. It's a challenge because you have to get used to a very different body. Um, but it's like the best thing, one of the best things I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah.
It's freeing.
It's freeing. It was also like, who am I doing this for? Like, I'm not comfortable. Everyone knows that they're fake. Like, sure, does it fit into a shirt better? 100%.
But who
Like a
cares?
lot of right. I don't. And
No.
that was that. Haven't
And you
worn
have
one
to be
since.
comfortable. Really, that is very important. Have
Yeah.
have you been given a diagnosis now?
Yeah. So metastatic terminal breast cancer. Um, Chugging along between treatments is really what it is right now.
They
I
did
started
they
a new.
ever do they ever say to you, like, they don't give you timelines? They don't say, if this treatment doesn't work, you need to prepare yourself for another year, or do they
Not
speak
a
that candidly with you?
um if I want to, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm, mm,
Um,
mm.
you know, as treatments fail, it's not exactly like, oh, there's like 15 treatments. Like, we're looking at a few treatments, and that's again why I'm looking at other treatments in the States. Um, I don't I take what they say to heart? No, I take it with a grain of salt because no one knows,
Hmm.
you know, because they're looking at it like, okay, well, I had this many patients and this didn't work for them for very long, or, you know, whatever. And, but I don't like to think like that.
Of
I
course not.
just,
Of course
I
not.
just like to think that, like, okay, I'm going to try this treatment. This is going to be the one. This is going to be
So,
my drug.
so what is cold clapping?
Okay. So cool. So chemotherapy,
Yeah.
many of them, not all of them, but the majority of them, because you put chemotherapy into your veins, it's called systemic. So it goes all over your body. So obviously, then it goes to your hair follicles and it would kill your hair follicles. So there's this technology called cold capping
Oh,
where
capping.
it's capping
Capping. Okay.
capping. So it's like they freeze your head to -4 degrees. And the idea is that when it's very cold, the chemotherapy is not going to go up to that part of your body because it goes systemically where it's warm. For me, it has been worth every single cent. It's an extra cost. I've
Mm.
kept all my hair.
Yeah, it's
Um,
beautiful. Your hair is
Thank you.
beautiful.
And these are chemo curls. I never had curly hair before or dark hair like this.
Really?
Yeah, it
What was
grew
your hair
back
before?
like light brown and straight.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is kind of crazy. I'm used to it now,
It's nice.
but thank you. It's yeah, cold capping it's wild. It wasn't available to me in 2015. But when I started chemotherapy back in the hospital on a weekly basis in September, it was offered to me by my oncologist as an option for me to look into. It is expensive as it is an extra cost.
Mm.
But for me, it's been worth worth every single cent.
And isn't that interesting and hopeful that it wasn't available then, it's available now,
Yeah,
which gives us hope that there'll be other treatments that are available in a year from now or 2 years from now, different
exactly.
treatments, right?
Yeah.
Um, do you have plans with your kids coming up? Anything with the summer, or do you do stuff
So,
in
yeah,
advance?
yeah. So we have a cottage we spend time at. We go to camp in the summer. My husband and I work at a summer camp, and my kids go there, which is great. Yeah.
Wow, that's
um,
amazing.
yeah, so that's really good. We just went to New York City at March break as a family. Uh, Hoping we can get another trip in soon. I am crossing a bucket list item off my bucket list.
That's my next question. I was just going to ask you about your bucket
Yes.
list. Okay,
Yeah,
tell me
so
about it.
next Tuesday, I am throwing out the opening pitch at the Blue Jays game. So
That's so cool.
that's really, really, really exciting. So that's, when you put things out in the universe, um, people are amazing and they want to help. And going back to the community that I've created on Instagram is, I'm very lucky. Like, the majority of these people I have never met. Um, but they're like my like cheerleaders, and it's so amazing,
Absolutely.
and I'm so lucky. Um, there's a mother who follows me from Indiana, and her daughter lives in Texas, and like they send me like these, like, we're rooting for you, we're thinking about you messages, and it's
It's
so
beautiful.
nice.
Hmm.
um
Beautiful.
and so I kind of put it out there to the universe and online that I would like to cross this off my bucket list next, and we made it happen, and that was insane. And then a few years ago, Ellen DeGeneres was coming to Toronto, and I really wanted to meet her, and again put it out there, and I was able to meet her, and it was so cool. And then she mentioned me in the show later, and
Wow.
that was really,
Wow.
really cool.
Tell me about other items on your bucket list. Let's put it out there, Renee. I want to hear it.
So I want to meet Oprah. That's
Who
like,
doesn't? Oh my God. And you know what? You should meet Oprah. I think you need to put that. Okay, you know
I'm
what?
putting it
I'm
out
just saying it.
there.
Can you do that maybe this week? Can that be like something that, like, one of your items to do on your to-do list this week? I'll repost it. I'll get everyone I know to repost it to get to her. But like, can you just do that?
I really,
Peter?
really, really, she's
Yeah.
been like, she was my after school for so many
Oh
years.
my
Like,
God, she raised me.
yes, like my mom, my sister, and I would watch her
Oh,
every day after school. And, I
love.
love her. So I really
Mm,
would love to meet her.
okay.
Um, One of my best friends lives in Paris. So I, you know, would love to take the kids to Paris to do that. My kids are really into going to Paris. So hopefully at some point we can
Me too.
figure, yeah.
I need to go also.
Yeah, it's so amazing. So I'm hoping to, I've been a bunch of times, but my husband's never been, and obviously my kids haven't. So I'm hoping we can make that happen. So those are
Those are
the
your
two
two.
kind of
Oprah and Paris.
next.
Those are your two big bucket list things.
Those are the next things. There's still like tons.
Like, throw out one more. I need one more.
I would love to go on an African safari. I don't even
Ooh.
know, like, I don't
Oh.
know that that would ever be possible, but
Mm.
never say never. You never
Yeah.
know.
You never know.
Yeah, I would love to go on an African safari.
So I want to ask you one last question. I know I had so many more questions for you, but I feel like I don't even need to look at my notes because I've just loved this conversation with you so much. You wrote a whole blog about on World Cancer Day as to like what life was like for you years ago and what life looks like for you now.
Yeah.
And I thought that I just want to urge people to go to your Instagram account. I'm going to have you say what that is in a second, because it really, it's so truthful that people living with terminal cancer, what life looks like. I think you did that post in such a beautiful way. It was very meaningful.
Thank you.
So tell everyone what your Instagram account is, please.
So it's at MSC Mommy, MOMMYLIFE. So before cancer, I had a successful mom blog, and anyways, I haven't changed my handle yet, so we're still using
But what is MSC?
So my so-called mommy life was the name of my blog.
So-called mommy life.
I started it when my daughter was 8 months old, and I started researching baby stuff. It was expensive, and then one day a friend was like, why don't you just like put it in a blog? And I was like, me? I was always told I was a shitty writer.
Yeah, totally.
Like
the teacher.
Always, yes,
the teacher was told she was a shitty writer.
Yes, my OAC teacher told me, like, you're a horrible writer. Like, anyways, so
write that teacher now.
Right. I've actually thought about it.
I would.
And yeah, so she told me I was a shitty writer. I was like, ugh, who's going to read this? And within 4 months of starting my blog, P&G had came and contacted me to join their mommy blogging team. So that was a big shift.
That's validating.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So MSC Mommy Life, I want people to check you out. But my last question to you would be, so at this stage now where you're at, when you think of your beautiful little family, your Princess Peach little dude and your husband, what are you preparing for them? What do you want for them now, like in the next few years?
I want them to be happy. Obviously, it's hard. Like, my kids are at like a big kind of transition. Like, my daughter's a full-blown tween. I just want them to be happy. Hopefully I can be here for as long as possible and make as many memories as we can together. Nice ones.
And for your husband?
For him to be happy. It's been hard. It's been a rough few years. So
he's strong. He's very strong.
Yeah. Yep. And hopefully, he'll be fine. So chugging along.
Mm-hmm.
We're all chugging along.
I'm so happy that I got to meet you. I know it's virtual,
Thank
but at least
you.
I got to lay my eyes on you. And I feel very grateful that we were able to have this conversation and dispel some of the myths around terminal cancer and what it means to live with a terminal illness. I really just think that people don't get it. And there's a lot of stereotypes, and you certainly don't fit any of them. So I'm very appreciative and grateful that you came on the DL and spoke so openly with me about it. And I wish you health and to be happy and just to live each day with the most that you can and get those items off that bucket list. Just do it. It feels good.
I'm trying.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Be well. We'll speak soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Renee.
Thanks.